Hello everyone, this is Becky Bennett, and Jess asked me to kind of go through some of the basics of SmartFind just to remind everybody some of the tricks and traits of this system. So this is going to be very informal. And of course, I'm always here if you have any questions or would like me to come and show you in person anything that I show you today or something else that you want to know about. So let's get started. For those of you who are new, SmartFind Express is our platform for teachers to put in sick days, which then gets deducted out of their district reason balance, as well as ask for a substitute if needed. The platform, if a substitute is needed, will then call out via text and via phone to all of our available substitutes, who then will respond with accepting the job or denying the job. Please be aware that substitutes also have a profile in this program, and they get to choose which schools they want to work at, maybe what grade levels, which subjects. So if you feel like at any point in time a substitute is unhappy with either the amount of calls they're getting or lack of, make sure they contact me and we can adjust their preferences in their profile. So let's say it's a normal day and you come in to school and you are an admin. You are going to see this home page. Let me zoom out a little bit. Of course, today is July 22nd that I'm doing this on, and there are no subs required. But normally for your school, you would see in this circle graph here how many jobs are filled, how many are not filled, which ones need substitutes. Just a very general graph. But for today, I'm going to show you how do you see the substitutes that have picked your school to work at. How do you see employees, which days they are out, or how many employees do you have out that day, and are they filled with substitutes if needed? We're going to then look at where and how to change a job, delete a job, split a job, and then lastly, I need to remind you how to handle bereavement days and possibly ERIP substitutes, or early retirement substitutes, for those that you are not familiar with that. So let's get started. How do I see the substitutes that want to work for me at my job? Now, I am showing you my homepage, so I may have a few more bells and whistles. Yours will be tailored to your school. But here's your magical tab right here, the Administrator tab. And you may not have as many choices, but down here are the biggest ones that you would need to see. You do have a general tab, which is nice because you can search for somebody regardless of whether they're an employee or a substitute. But if you really want to focus on substitutes, you're going to click this right here, substitute. And then there's all these criteria. Make sure you want to only see active, because unfortunately a lot of these accounts, even if the teachers leave or the substitutes leave, they still have to be in the system because there's data attached to them, so they just become inactive. So make sure you click on that. And then I'm just going to go and search. It would only pull up your substitutes that are available to you. So if you feel like you're in a pinch and you are wanting to know which substitutes would be available for today, you could hone in on today and say from 11 to 3, click search. It'll tell you the substitutes that want to come to your school and the ones that are not occupied for today. Chances are they've gotten a call. Some substitutes, when they get that call and they don't want to take the job, they'll just hang up. That there then causes them to probably get called back again, and some substitutes will just keep hanging up instead of holding and listening to the message and then denying. I think the platform calls them 5 times before it stops for that day. So if they don't want a job and they haven't taken the time to deny any calls, they may end up on this list. So be careful when you call. You may want to ask them, are you available today? Even though they land on the list and the system says they're available, may not be so. So that's a quick way to find your substitutes. You go through the same process to find your employees. So we'll go to an administrator tab and employee. Again, switch to active, and you won't have locations. So your school should come up, and then you hit search, and all your employees should come up. Each of these names are hyperlinked. Let's say I have a mock employee right here, ZZ employee. And you want to see, did they take any days off in the past or in the future? You can just click on their name and their profile will show up. But there's a couple different ways to see a specific employee's absence. If I go to the employee, I like to go to calendar. And when I do that, it'll show a calendar. Now, it's pretty empty here, but if I go to September, I'll see very quickly that this employee has taken 3 days, the 3rd, the 10th, and 11th. I'm given the job numbers. Not too much information, although I can hover, and I can see that this is a family illness. I cannot see here whether there's a substitute or not. Here is a personal day, and here's another personal day. Notice the job numbers are the same for these 2 days, yet they're different. Here, this is 20547 and 20548. Because it's the same job number, this means that those days, both of them belong to the same job account. If this were to call out for substitutes, the substitute would actually have to take both days. And that's why some administrators ask the teachers, if you're going to be out multiple days, can you put them in separately? And therefore, they will call out. So a substitute could take 1 day or 2 days. But you could, if you have a 2-day job, it could be 2 different substitutes in that case. What if you want to see all the jobs for a specific day? I would go to administrator, and I would not go here because this generalizes the employee. But if I wanted to see a job inquiry for a particular day, I would hit this. And then there's a very special pull down that's important. It's right here. So let's just go through this really quick. If you want to see all the jobs, whether they have a substitute or not, whether they were filled or not, you want to go to the first all and exclude canceled, unless you want to see canceled jobs as much, but sometimes that gets overwhelming. Open and active means that open, a substitute has not been assigned to that job, and it may have been requested. And active means that, yes, it's still out there. This is probably the most important filter to use on the day of trying to see if all your kiddos are covered by substitutes. This will give you a list of jobs that are open and have not been filled and need to be filled. So when you filter that, then you would search from the days. Here at the top, I'm showing you an example where I've searched for open and active, and I've done a range of days just so that I could show you what these jobs look like. You'll see that I've whited out a lot of the information so that you can't see the particular people. But here's the job number. This will tell you what day they've gone. So 7:40 to 3:40, that means they've taken a whole day. If I scroll down, here is a teacher, and this has a second name over in the right side that this is their substitute, where no sub required for the above jobs. So now we're going to come in here, and I'm going to show you how to change, delete, and split a job if needed. So we're going to go back to my pretend employee. We even have a pretend sub. I'm going to go to their calendar. I'm going to find that day of September 3rd. So let's say I click on, all these job numbers are hyperlinked, so I'm going to click on that. And this is my employee Z. It is active with no sub required. But the teacher says, you know what, I just don't want to use a family illness day. But here's the reason right here. It says family illness. And if you have the proper admin credentials, you can change this to whatever you need. So we're going to change it to bereavement. Okay, because this will actually work for an example of mine. And then there's lots of save buttons all over the place, but they seem to all do the same thing. There's one here. There's one here. There's one here. Okay, so we're going to just click on one of them. Now when I hover, it changes it to bereavement. And we're going to come back to that and talk about when teachers do have to take bereavement days. So that's how you change it. If I wanted to delete it, you cancel a job. Or let's say it's a position where you could have a sub or not have a sub, and your administrator in the school building says, you know what, we don't need a sub for them. Can you not call out? This would be a no sub required absence. So those may be highlighted for you. Okay, so now we're going to go over quickly splitting a job. And the reason why you may do this is maybe Tuesday this person needed a sub, but Wednesday they did not. So you would have to split the job. Or maybe they decided to cancel a Wednesday absence, but still wanted to keep the Tuesday absence. Either way, there's different reasons why you may have to split a job. So I'm going to go into the job by clicking on the job code. And you'll have an option. Remember, this goes from September 10th to September 11th. And we're going to go to split a job. This job will automatically be stopped from call out, and the call out will be restarted after the splitting of the job. So you're going to say, yes, that's fine. And then here are the 2 days. They're full days. And because there's only two, there's only one way to split. If there were 3, you can decide whether you want to keep one individually and group the other 2, or you can split all of them. Okay, so then we're going to continue, and we're going to confirm. And we're going to go done. So I'm going to take you back to this ZZ employee. We're going to take a look at the calendar again. Phew, sorry, lots of clicking there. And now you'll see that each individual job has a separate job inquiry, which means they can be manipulated separately. So I can now, if I have to change one of them or change the sub or whatever, I can do that. All right, and the last thing we're going to talk about is those days that where an ERIP sub comes in or bereavement. In either case, I know this is a bereavement. We're going to come in here, and the teacher or the employee is not able to do this. So we actually have to do this for them as an administrator of SmartFind. Let's say this particular employee lost a grandfather, which under our bereavement policy does qualify. So if you have any questions on whether the relationship qualifies for bereavement, please call the central office. Unfortunately, we do need to know the relationship, and there are 2 text boxes here. There's text instructions. This is not for you. This is where the teacher can put in directions for the substitute, but you're going to want to go in here and say relationship is grandfather. That will tell payroll that this does qualify for bereavement, and they can not charge the employee for this day. And then the other one was a substitute for ERIP. All right, so now let's say we have a substitute on the phone that is willing to take this day. But for some reason, they just could not accept it, or they were coming through and you're like, okay, we want to assign you. Notice there are 2 areas for substitutes. There's assigned substitute, which means the one you are going to have take the job. And then there's specified substitute, which means this is the substitute you'd like, but they haven't accepted the job. So it's kind of sitting there waiting on hold. we do not want to use that specified substitute. That's more so for the teacher to have preferences, to call out this substitute first and so forth. As an administrator, you always want to go to the assigned substitute. We're going to look up the substitute we want, and I think I had a ZZ substitute. I do. So I'm going to click on their name, and notice there they are. There's my substitute, my ZZ test substitute. Yes, I want them to go in. You can hit save, but before I do that, I'm going to come down here to, again, the administrator comments, and I know that this substitute said they wanted to use an ERIP day. So you will put ERIP and the substitute's ID number, which usually it's only 4. Okay, then you might want to put their name, and you are good. I showed you how to put a substitute in, but in addition to that, if they are ERIP, you want to make a note, because when payroll pumps out their reports, they're looking, it's a difference in pay. So they're looking for this little notification to say it's ERIP. And we'll hit save. So now when you go back into that job, everything should be changed. The assigned substitute is ZZ test substitute, and they are ERIP. I know this was very quick, and it gives you some maybe questions to ask me on an individual basis. Hey, Becky, can you come back and show me this, this, and this? Or I would be glad to give you a copy of this video. I do have some one-pagers that may walk you through some of these steps individually that I'd be welcome to share. Thank you very much, and hope you have a great day.